Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm John Types, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Well, glad to be here. Glad to be talking Pokemon TCG, and it's new card Monday.
Yes, although I obviously recorded it before, and also my audio setup is a little different, so tell us down below in the comment section on YouTube if the audio is fine. But with that out of the way, let's just hop right in. As you said, we're talking about new cards with the expansion. Mega Dream EX is the Japanese expansion that was recently revealed fully, and it has apparently 193 cards, which is pretty big for a mini set. And on top of that, it's releasing in around a week, the 28th here, or not here, in Japan. And then it will be releasing apparently January 30th in internationally with 227 cards, potentially including some of the other cards we haven't that have been released in Japan that haven't been released yet internationally. And this is also going to be the not the last set of the year exactly, but it's like ending off the regulation mark. These are all I regulation mark cards here. And the last, set of the essentially Pokemon year, I guess is how I would describe it.
Yeah, now this is going to make the bulk of the international set Ascended Heroes, I believe, which we get in January 30th, if my understanding is correct. We get I think 227 set cards I think in Ascended Heroes. I'm not sure if that one of them that might include the over number cards.
Yeah.
Versus the 193 being the regular arts. That's always tricky to know. And I believe the 193 cards, only 63 of them are new cards. The others are reprints of current cards, maybe with different arts. Because I think this is they on PokeBeach they call this a high class pack set to catch up. Which includes 10 cards instead of 5 with guaranteed EXs, which is something which we don't get internationally. But it's kind of that's why I think there's a bunch of reprints to help people get cards that they're looking for.
Yeah, but there are some good reprints in this set. I'm just kind of scrolling through. I see Latias EX and Dusknoir, as well as a wide variety of different cards that were released in the Pokemon TCG, I think last year and this year, that again are just generally pretty good. Some do have synergy with cards in this set, of course, and some don't, but are just interesting, including Trainers Pokemon, which there are new Trainers Pokemon in this set, which is not something I was expecting really to see, other than catching up on some cards we hadn't seen or printed yet, because this is the Mega era, and the Trainers Pokemon were like the end of the Scarlet and Violet era, or that's what I thought.
Yeah, in the trainers, it's the two I think that are the strongest trainers are getting more cards. So is what I'd say. But we'll go through some of the cards. I think we'll mention those, the trainers as well as some of the other cards. Right? Anything else you want to say before we dive into the actual cards themselves?
Well, there are 3 trainers getting new cards. So there's the 2 strongest. I'm not sure. We'll get to that, but I think we can just kind of hop in. Go through. I guess we'll go type by type here, and I guess I'll mention the Silcoon. The Silcoon has an ability that lets you search for Cascoon, which again, we saw this with Shedinja, and what is the other one called? Isn't Ninjask? Yeah, which lets you search for the Shedinja. Which is again a stage 1 that evolves from a basic that searches for another stage 1 that evolves from the same basic there, so it seems kind of pointless. This one seems even more pointless. The Ninjask is grass. It evolves from a grass Pokemon, so you could use Force of Vitality to get there quicker. You can, I guess, use that here as well, but they're also both grass, unlike Shedinja, which isn't grass. So long story short, it seems kind of bad, kind of pointless. But it is a thing, and yeah.
Yeah, look, and the stage 2s aren't all that good, so. I mean, since they all evolve from one basic, it lets you get 4 of each evolution lines going. I guess that's the sense, but I don't think there's not enough payoff to you try even messing with it. So I don't know if an expand there's anything worthwhile, but certainly for standard at this point, it's not. I think don't see any point in playing these cards.
Yeah, I guess I'll say one thing. In a GLC, there's actually a decent Beautifly, and Dustox doesn't really have a good card. But I guess there is something there if you really wanted to try it out. And GLC, you can't have multiple Wurmples, but there you can now have a Silcoon and a Cascoon, so that's kind of funny. Again, seems pretty bad, but it does seem actually pretty funny there as well.
Yeah, no, if you want the stage 2 in GLC format, then maybe this is the stage 1 you play. So, but obviously, I don't know that Pokemon's taking that into account with designing the cards, but you never know. But that might be the best case for it. So, and I think that's really it for the grass Pokemon, right? There's not a lot of new grass Pokemon in this set.
Yeah, I'm just looking through at Pokemon proxies, and that's the only line I see here. So we'll move to fire here. I'll talk about Numel here. Numel is, and I guess Camerupt. So Camerupt EX in standard. I'll talk about that first. Camerupt EX, or sorry, Mega Camerupt EX is a card that I thought was going to be pretty decent. It has not been decent, but it has the attack here, Roasting Heat for one fire. Does 80, but it does 160 more, so 250 if your opponent's active is burned for one fire there. Then this new camera up to single prizer, burn and grill is the attack translation name, or the name, yeah, translation of the name. And what the attack actually does, though, it does 110 for one fire on a stage 1 single prizer here if your opponent's active is burned. Otherwise, it doesn't do any damage there. So a very similar attack to the Mega, obviously weaker, but a similar idea there is like a single prize option. And now we do have this new Numel. This Numel has the ability Incandescent Body. Again, that's a translation of the name. Translations of names might be incorrect. Unlikely with certain supporters, or like Pokemon names, but attack names and ability names might be wrong, but what they do should be correct. And if this Pokemon is in the active, it takes damage from the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon. The attacking Pokemon is now burned. Pretty much this is a way to get burn on your opponent's active. There are some ways in standard. They're a little clunky. This is another way, which I think will definitely help out the deck a little bit. And I don't think it's like super amazing, but I do think it is a noticeable increase for the deck.
Yeah, I mean the retreat cost of the Numel's 3. I don't know what the other Numel options are because that's not a good thing, but that might just be what that the Camerupt's a high retreat cost Pokemon anyway, so maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I mean the problem with the Camerupt Mega Camerupt EX is getting the burn condition right. So having another way for that is a good. It's an up for that deck, but I don't it's not a huge swing for the deck though either.
Yeah, and there was a 2 retreat cost Numel with a call for family attacks. So that's like kind of cool. Certainly an all right previous evolution. You'll probably play maybe some of each, but this one,
Yeah.
I mean, getting burn is like it's not like absurdly difficult, but it's not super easy. And ultimately, this card doesn't have Mega Camerupt DX doesn't have amazing payoff or the single prize Camerupt, but they do have you're looking for easy or the best nameless you can. I'll also mention for Fire Colorless, and both the Camerupt DX and Mega Cam or no, the Camerupt, yeah, the single prize Camerupt and the Mega Camerupt EX. There we go. They are cards that can attack for like big-ish damage for 4 energy there, using a presumably basic fire and ignition there, which is like kind of worth mentioning. I don't think it's super good. I think it's overvalued, but it's all right.
Right, and we have reversal too that you can use on the single prize, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, like if you're playing the Camerupt EX deck, you may slap in a copy of the single prize Camerupt. I would, depending on the scenario, right? So, and obviously it helps the prize mapping, right? Having an option of a 1 prize attacker at times versus just 3 prize attackers. So, yeah, I mean they can have value. I don't think this is the fire Pokemon are better than the grass Pokemon, but they're still not tremendous, I would say.
Yeah, but moving on to water here, the first card, which I guess is like the best card, is the Snorunt. It has 70 HP and 1 retreat cost. Of course, Snorunt, if you're not familiar in standard, these Snowrunts just have they have 60 HP there, so this is going to be better. The attack is like essentially useless, assuming you're playing it with Froslass. Well, you're obviously playing it presumably with Froslass, could be, I guess, Glalie. I don't even know if there's any in standard. But anyways, playing it with Froslass, Munkidori, and then Marnius Grimmsnarl EX, where you're not able to attack with it at all. So the attack doesn't matter. The extra HP could matter, so that's kind of cool there. But then we do look at the Mega Froslass EX. This is Mega Froslass is I'm pretty sure new Mega. I guess you don't play the video games at all.
I done a tiny bit over the last summer, but that's it really.
Yeah,
so I basically don't know the video game.
Yeah.
No, I have not played ZA, and I don't know if have you done ZA, by the way?
No, I have not done ZA. So yeah, if you don't know, we don't really do the video game at all. I'm like vaguely aware of the new Megas. I think so. This does have new Megas. It has Mega Dragonite EX that was actually revealed. That's like what it's named after. It was revealed at the World Championships. Long story short, it's bad. We'll get to it, but or I think it's bad, but I've heard some people say it's cool. There's Mega Electros EX, Mega Hawlucha EX. Oh, there's a few. We'll just get to them, but Mega Froslass, I believe, is one of those. I'll just read what it does real quick. The second attack, it is, of course, a 3-prizer. It's a stage 1 with 310 HP, which is like low for a stage 1 Mega, but it's like, I mean, it's still a good chunk of HP. And then for Watercolor's Colors, you do 150, put your opponent's active to sleep, which I think seems kind of meh. Then Rebellion, for 1 water, it does 50 times the number of cards in your opponent's hand. Also, quickly mention, I guess, Frostmoth, which is another evolution line here, which it has an attack
Yeah.
that does like 90 for 2 water and moves energy from it to your bench, which is like kind of whatever. But then Inviting Wing, if it's in the active, each player draws a card. These were revealed together. And are clearly intended to be played together. I don't remember if I've covered them on my channel before, but yeah, ultimately they're kind of fun. I like Mega Frostlass CX's first attack here.
Yeah, no, I think this is the first of the good cards. I mean, the Snowrunt's a good card too if you're playing a regular Frostlass deck, because this might be the Snowrunt you go to. The first attacker is this Mega Frostlass. I think has value. 310 HP is fine. It's metal weak, and obviously with water Pokemon you can have different weaknesses. So which is a plus, right? You can kind of manipulate the deck to have some options there. The second attack is not good. I don't know if you even said what it does. It does for 3 energy, it does 150, and your opponent's Pokemon's asleep, but that's just not good, especially out of 3 prize Pokemon. But 50 for 1 energy, you're doing a pretty good amount of damage most of the time, right? Your opponent should, even without having the Frostmoth to get some extra cards in their hand, you're doing 250 or so pretty commonly, I would say. And if right, and if they knocked out a Mega Frostlass before, now you're probably one-shotting whatever's there, right? Assuming they had like 4 cards or something, right?
Yeah, but your opponent can play around it a little. It's not too hard to thin your hand down. Obviously, if you're essentially like if you're making your opponent thin their hand down,
Yeah.
it does something. It's not worthless, but it's also something your opponent can play around without too much issue sometimes. I suppose it's like my Alakazam. This is like always one-shotting them, but also, um, you're probably still losing, and they're a single prize here. But yeah, the cards it's cool. I think it's all right.
Yeah, and you have the supporter that you can heal up Mega, and the energy goes to your hand. So if you're not getting knocked out, you're potentially then in which case if you're two-shotting things too, that's perfectly fine as well. And then you do have the grass Frostlass EX grass
Oh,
that uses
Frostlass,
water
yeah.
energy.
Oh no, Frostlass,
So
yeah.
yeah, Frostlass EX. If you're going with a Frostlass deck, that's an option to slap in too for a different weakness. Does 140 and hits 20 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's not a great attack, but you might slap that in the deck as well. So it's interesting. I don't think it's great, but it's got potential and it's got some interest. And obviously, yeah, like you said, the Frostlass with the Frostmoth with its ability. Is meant to go together. I think on the Frostmoth also, if you're going to try to play a mill deck, and I don't know that mill's great now. I guess you got Wugtrio, right? That can work.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Wugtrio
Um,
is great either.
no. And look, I like playing Mill. It's better though for the game if Mill's not great, I would say. It's no fun to play against Mill. And you mock me when I play Mill, right? Because you say it's a no brain type thing. Because rather than a control deck where you're discarding cards from hand and making some choices, you're tossing random stuff and kind of hoping. I get that, but Mill's it's a fun thing to try. So if you're playing a Mill deck and you can get an extra card or two every turn with a Frostmoth, that definitely could push a good mill deck into something that's more viable. I don't think there's a good enough mill deck in standard that's there, but it's certainly something to keep in mind. And in expanded, there's better mill options. So I think it's in a mill deck type thing, maybe a control deck as well, but probably a mill based deck. Frostmoth itself could have value.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Obviously, like whenever you say mill, that means decking your opponent out, but really, hopefully, getting cards in their discard, which Frostmoth gets them into their hand. You compare it like Xerxes
Yeah.
Machinations, but that's like not. I stand by the fact that Xerxes Machinations is like kind of terrible. But anyways, even if you think it's like decent, there are like better things to be doing, right? Yeah, and you like kind of have to do it with Frostmoth. Otherwise, you're just giving your opponent free cards. Not free, but like mostly free. And even with Xerxes Machinations, you're letting them see more cards to make better, different options. So it's awkward. Also, you need to like switch a bunch, which is kind of doable, but it's not getting free. But it's a fun card. There's also Chandelure, stage 2, that's pretty similar. It does not need to be in the active, but again, is a stage 2 there. So Frostmoth is cool. Also, obviously, yes, is it? I didn't, as I got confused before. I definitely get this card confused with Frostlass, sometimes in
Yeah.
name, and yeah, these two being meant to be paired together probably isn't going to help that. But yeah, I definitely think they're kind of fun cards, kind of silly here. But I want to move on to the Ends Vanillux here, which is actually probably
Yeah.
the coolest, one of the coolest cards in this set, in my opinion. It's Ends Vanillux, obviously an Ends Pokemon evolving from Ends Vanillish, which evolves from Ends Vanillite, and
Yep.
obviously they are Ends Pokemon, so you can't evolve it from other cards of that like same evolution line that aren't Ends Pokemon. But anyways, what you have here is for 2 colors, you place damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon until their damage is doubled. And then also Blizzard for watercolorless colors does 120, and then 10 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. I'd say there isn't much to do with the end stuff outside of maybe end sweep you up for powering your attack, but I don't know. I might even just use Ignition and maybe Reversal, but I wouldn't play this in ends, but in like a some type of spread deck, maybe with like Uxie or Frostlass or Munkidori or something. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. So two ways to take it, right? You can play it in the spread deck, a non-ends deck, and it's tricky because it's stage two. That's my big concern there, right? But the second attack that does damage spread some, like with Uxie, and then you can knock out something with Layered Snow. I don't know if that the name for that, like you talked before, could be wrong, but you double damage counters, so that's pretty good. And also the stage one, the Vanillish, is good as well. And this is where maybe you want to play something with Relicanth if you're doing it, if you're making it attacking with the Vanillux, because it does for 3 energy. 3 energy is not great for what it does, but it does 60 damage. That's bad for 3 energy, obviously. But and then the defending Pokemon can't retreat on your opponent's next turn,
It
so
can't
you're not
attack.
knocking. What's that?
It can't attack, which
Can't
is
attack. Sorry, yeah,
yeah a
even
lot better.
better. Right, because in 60 isn't enough to knock it out from most of the time. So, but 60, and then you're setting up a nice big hit with Layered Snow possibly. So you need to do the stage one with something to make it tough to retreat, right? Which we have, right? We have the tool, which I always forget the name of, that retreat increases retreat costs,
Yeah,
and
grab the gemstone, I think. Also, by the way, we're both like tired at the time recording this, so we're not 100% on the game.
Yeah, and I'm bad at remembering card names anyway. I was relying on you to help me out some. And then there is like Spite Ops as well. Although I like Spite Ops decks trying those, but that's a very dicey route to go down with things. But the idea of the stage one and the stage two is an interesting combo. What you put around it to make it work, I'm not quite sure. I think I was thinking it in the ends deck itself though, because I do like Enzoric, that is, right, which is a great ability, right? You discard a card, draw two. When it came out, I was very doubtful of it as an engine being a stage two Pokemon. I mean, a two prize Pokemon. I still, obviously, it's holding its back, its usage, but I'm seeing more value in it as an engine piece. So, and obviously, it is a nice attacking option. Obviously, an evolution type thing I don't is a little awkward with ends, but having if you're playing an ends deck, it's a toolbox style deck, so having the ability to stall out your opponent with the Vanillishes. They can't attack the next turn. You're doing some spread. You're doubling damage. Having those options is nice. I wish you could get the Vanillix evolved and have the ability for Enzoric to select the stage one attack. I don't think you can, like Relicanth. I don't believe allows for that the way it's worded and such. So that's the one thing I wish about it. If you want, having the option between the two and an ends deck's a little awkward.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. We're gonna talk more about ends at the end with a card that you've probably heard of if you've heard of any of the new cards. It's the one you've heard of. It's bad. Long story short, but it's really funny. And yeah, there's some end stuff. I definitely don't think this functions super well within the ends deck. Obviously, having different attacking options is cool. Specifically speaking of the attack that stops your opponent attacking, there was also a Cubchoo in standard from Black Bolt, which has the attack names snotted up for 1 water here, and it does 10 during your opponent's next turn. They can't attack. So it's the same thing here. This card, oh wow, this has seen like very little play. What, someone played in a Latias? Okay, anyways, oh, this is control. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. But anyways, yeah, it's 1 energy. Stops your opponent from attacking. I've seen it played occasionally in Pidgeot control. And I've never been hit by it or anything like that. I don't think I've actually played with it either. But it's like, in terms of disruption, it's a lot better than the Vanillish because it's a basic for 1 energy. And So the attack idea is interesting. There have been cards like it, but I don't know if it's quite going to be good enough. But again, it does seem cool, and we'll talk a little bit more about ends later. But I feel like these. I mean, we saw a Lunala that had the same attack as Ends Vanillux, which doubled damage for 2 colors on stage 2. It wasn't like particularly good, but as like a silly Pokemon, it was really fun. So I think this is a cool line, no pun intended, and something that I think I'll try out with some type of spread deck, but it's also not, it's like a relatively high setup, and also your opponent can like see it coming from a mile away as well. So um, it's fun, but it's
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's great. I think I probably want to do an Ends Vanillix deck with Relicanth, where I'm getting the stage two, trying to take the high HP of 150, which I put air quotes there because it's not high for a stage two at 150. But with Relicanth and having some options, setting up, making it work, it's going to be tricky, but a fun thing to try out, I think.
yeah, Relicanth definitely feels like clunky because it doesn't let you lets you like use the previous evolution attack. There's some like really silly stuff there, but it's also like it's very clunky. But I
Yeah.
think we can move on to the lightning stuff now, so we don't want to talk about the Glastrier.
No, no, we skipped over a few Pokemon because they're just not good. And even this doesn't have tremendous cards, but there are good cards and worth knowing about. So, but at the water, I think are were decent Pokemon, and Lightning. We're getting to some of the better cards, so more interesting cards, I think.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start. Actually, I'll talk about a supporter here first, which is the supporter card. What's it called? There's Canary. This is a supporter. This says you discard a card from your hand in order to use this card. Again, it is a supporter. And you search your deck for up to 4 lightning Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. They don't need to be basics. I think this is kind of a Miraidon EX replacement. It's like pretty different, to be honest, and definitely weaker, I'd say. But it is like kind of
Well,
interesting. I
I
mean,
think it might
it's
be better because first it's four, not three. I know it's your supporter,
true.
so but it's also evolutions, right? That's the big thing. It's evolutions and or basics, basic stage one, stage two. So it's very flexible. So for some decks, this is gonna be a really good card.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, it's like
You sound very skeptical.
yeah. I mean, I generally don't like search supporters in general. I guess Arven is the one where I'd kind of make the exception. I mean, well, okay, I don't necessarily dislike them, but like I don't think they're bad, but I just don't really play with them. And generally would prefer draw supporters and then search items, which is normally what you see in decks. But anyways, Canary is a supporter here that can search your deck for lightning Pokemon. How often do you need this many lightning Pokemon? It's kind of my same issue with Fire Breather. I think this is better than Fire Breather. I don't think this card's like terrible. But like you don't need all these lightning Pokemon all the time. Um, it's often going to be like a turn one, maybe turn two. But anyways, it's okay here. Also, Miraidon EX was like Flash is pretty good currently right
Yeah.
now. It's not particularly impressive, but Canary is definitely like all right here, and it has some literal direct synergies, but also obviously works with the lightning stuff. The first card we have here is Mega Electros EX. This, of course, evolves from Electric, which is also being reprinted in this set. Of course, accelerating
Yeah.
lightning energy to your bench Pokemon. Then Mega Electros EX here has 2 attacks for 1 lightning. You do Split Bomb, 60 to 2 air points Pokemon, and then also your second attack, Disaster Shock for 3 lightning. You do 190 and can discard up to 2 energy from this Pokemon to paralyze your opponent's active. And I feel like this card is Split Bomb's like whatever. It's not particularly good for stage 2 3 prizer with like mediocre HP. But Disaster Shock here, paralysis guaranteed is kind of cool, but also um it's a lot of commitment for something that like paralysis isn't actually crazy here because you're just probably gonna two-shot him anyway. Or you're like definitely gonna two-shot him if you're not one-shotting him. So it's like kind of cool, but I feel like it ultimately doesn't really hit the mark.
Yeah, I mean, paralysis to me is the most powerful of the special conditions. It's the toughest to deal with, so I like it. But it's a stage two. It's three energies, so that's tough to set up and it's a three prize Pokemon because it's a mega here. But the biggest problem to me, you're doing 190 damage. So if you're paralyzing, you don't want to be knocking out your opponent's Pokemon, right? And it's 350 HP on the Mega Electros, which is low for a Mega Stage 2. So I don't love it. And the first attack is, you'll clean things up. If you somehow have a deck that this makes sense in, it's a nice option because you might take, you know, 4 prizes or more, right? Not cleaning up a couple EXs on the bench, right? Or active on the bench with it. I think the value of it to me is if you're playing an electric deck where they're using the stage one that accelerates energies, then you may consider slapping one copy of the mega in the deck, right, as an attacker, which you're probably would use for the second attack. I mean, the first attack, right, to take out a couple Pokemon to clean up some prizes on occasion, right? You're not using most games, but it's an occasional attacker type thing. I think that's the best use case I see for this Mega Electros EX.
Yeah, I feel like that's all like a pretty decent use case. Again, it's not like amazing, but it's all right. And I think it's like kind of cool. But again, like not something you're looking to use that much. But then the next card I'll go to is just going to be the Heliolisk here. And this card has its ability Frilled Lightning. This one directly refers to the supporter Canary because you can only use this ability if you play that supporter. And you search your deck for 2 basic lightning energies. I guess it's up to, I think. It doesn't say up to, but I assume it's up to. And then you attach them to this Pokemon, and then you shuffle your deck, and you have this attack here, Powerful Bolt, which does you flip a coin for each energy attached to it, and you do 70 for each heads. It's 2 lightning and a colorless, at least, but it's pretty theoretically powerful if you get lucky, and also has some like weird setup stuff.
At first, this is a really appealing card to me, right? It's a single prize kind of a meme deck, or it's. I think it's got some potential though. So when I call it a meme deck, I mean that with love, and I think it's a lot. First, it's flipping a lot of coins is fun. It's gonna be painful too when it doesn't get heads. But the idea is you're playing the Canary, which works with this. You want to get every time, you probably want to get 3 Heliolists in play by turn 2 and always have 3 in play. So you're playing Canary. You're going to need a lot of basic energies. That's going to be a problem. Because you say you're going to recover them, but if I have 3 in play, I'm searching out 6 energies every turn from the deck. And because I want to probably do this ability ideally 3 times, I have 6 energies. I'm now flipping 6 heads at 70 per. So, but that gets me 3. So I'm averaging 210 on a single prize Pokemon. That's not terrible, right? You can win with that, and you'll certainly get lucky at times and do more. So that's the idea. Is I'm getting I probably need to average 3 Heliolists every turn, and I'm accelerating 6 energies every turn. And that's a lot of coin flips in a single prize deck. So I have a lot of turns to get going because they're only taking 1 prize at a time. So to me, it's a fun little deck that I think is featured around the Heliolisk with the Canary. I see that's the deck that they've given us with that, and I think it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It depends on your definition of okay. But I guess so. It's like it's fun. I don't know. I feel like you haven't really played Brambleghast. I haven't really played much Brambleghast either. I feel like
I've done a little bit.
You haven't played Brambleghast Fortress. I mentioned this to you a little while ago. You should try it out. But we'll see what we'll see if you like actually end up playing a stacker. If you end up kind of forgetting about it by the time the set rolls around. But yeah, it's kind of fun there. Yeah.
The Brambleghast does 80 instead of 70. That's a big plus. They're both stage 1, same energy cost. But with the Brambleghast, you're using Fortress EX that knocks itself out, so you're giving up 2 prizes, right? And now it boosts its HP along the way, but because of that, you're shortening the game by two attacks, right? If the Heliolisk needs to be a single prize deck, I guess I have to play Pheasantipity, but that I kind of need to keep it at a single prize deck in order to have a chance to win, right? And they're going to play. My opponent always is going to have boss. So if I play Pheasantipity, I probably lose the game. So that's partly where it gets dicey. But if I don't play Pheasantipity, I probably don't set up. I'm not consistent enough. So those are some of the problems that you're going to have with this deck, which is probably partly why you're skeptical on it.
Yeah, I mean it seems like fun. There are always like these big coin flip cards, but essentially they're never good either. But do you want to talk about any of the other lightning Pokemon? I don't feel like we need to, but we could.
Well, I'm going to talk Tapu Koko for a minute, which you mentioned to me. It has a turn. You can attack turn 1 going first. You discard your hand, draw 5 cards. Turn 1 attack cards are fun. It's the same attack as the old Talonflame V. That gave 2 prizes, and it had a similar second attack on it. I guess it did more damage, but it was a 2 prize Pokemon. The big problem with the Tapu Koko, though, is the retreat cost of 1. I don't love that at all. But the Talonflame V was free retreat. Tapu Kokos often have free retreat, so I wish it was free retreat because then it's a pivot as well. But if it's a nice little starting Pokemon. If you go first, you can reset. So for some decks, it's an option for things. You have to have Lightning Energy, so it's probably in a Lightning deck because you have to get this in the active and have to get a Lightning Energy attached. But it's fun to be able to attack turn one going first.
Yeah. I say it's fun. I wouldn't say it's always fun. Like with Donk, I wouldn't say that's fun. But yeah, no, it can be fun to do. I feel like this card definitely has like it's almost cool. It feels like it should have free retreat, but anyways, it's kind of fun. But then we have the I guess we'll move on to the psychic stuff where we have some Team Rockets
Yeah.
Pokemon here, or some like different trans Pokemon actually. So we have the first card here, which is Rockets Execute. Rockets Execute as well as Rocket's Executor. Rocket's Execute isn't like good, but it does have 60 HP, which I think is high for Execute. I don't know. But anyways, Rocket's Executor here. You can do 150 for 3, or for 2, you can flip 3 coins. If all three are heads, then you get to knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon of your choice, which is like really funny, but it seems really bad.
Yeah, I mean, look, you want to make a Mimi video, right? Eventually, you'll hit 3 heads and knock out some big Pokemon, right? But it's not good, right? I don't know what the odds are not good of hitting 3 heads. So, and I don't really think we have ways to increase our flipping heads in standard. So it's not good. And the second attack's not good. I like Executor. It's kind of fun. I look out for good Executors. This one is not a good one. It doesn't appeal to me just because it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Then there is also I don't know. I don't think Mismagius is really good. Do you want to talk about the Mismagius?
No, I mean it might go in a deck. I mean, look, it does for 2 energy, does 60. If your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by special glitch, you put 6 damage counters on one of their bench Pokemon in some type of a psychic. There's some decks that I could put this in, right? It's a good if I have Mismagius, a different one, but it's not great. But then we move on to Rotom, right? That's the one you're really hoping to get to here.
Yeah.
So we have the psychic Rotom that we need for our Rotom box decks, right? The Rotom, it's got the Gadget Show attack. It does 30 damage for 2 colorless energy for each tool attached to all your Pokemon. You have the Rotom just EX, right? It's not a Mega, is it?
Yeah, it's just a 2-prizer.
It lets you double tools on all Rotom Pokemon with Rotom in the name, so you get a lot of tools. It's a lot of fun potentially having an extra. There's 3 different types, or there's 4 types of Rotoms. This gives another type for hit for weakness. And this one also has an attack for 1 energy, Rotocall. Search your deck for as many cards with Rotom in their name as you like. Put them onto your bench. That's a nice little set. That's a better first attack than the other Rotoms as well. So if you're trying a little Rotom fun with it, this is a nice add to that deck.
Yeah, so I was just reading the attack translation. I'm pretty sure this is mistranslated because it doesn't say Pokemon, and well, in standard, there aren't Pokemon, or there aren't non-Pokemon that have Rotom in the name, as far as I'm aware. There are in expanded, so you could like put items onto your bench, which obviously doesn't really make any sense, but that's kind of funny. But yeah, this card, I mean, I made a couple of videos on Rotom on my channel. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're actually really cool. Rotom is such an interesting deck. But yeah, this is like kind of useful for type coverage, I guess. I mean, hits weakness paired with a Lotus Clefairy EX on like Dragapult and stuff. Dragapult, I said and stuff. I don't think there's any stuff to add there, but it's kind of interesting. It's not like crazy good. It also only has 60 HP, which like isn't so good against like Dragapult and things like that, but it is kind of interesting.
Yeah, but you can buff the HP with the tools, of course. And I think I haven't played the Rotom deck yet, but I assume the first attack is useful too, right? So you're going to have at least 1 copy, if not multiple copies of this Rotom in a Rotom deck.
Yeah. But overall, this is I don't know if it's the card I'm most excited for from this set. It's not that interesting, but it's kind of fun here. But then
yeah, it's a fun little card.
Then we got some Hops Pokemon here, which Hops is definitely, which again is the 3rd trainer. So at the beginning of the video, you said that you think the 2 strongest have new trans Pokemon in the set. Which ones do you think that is?
And I was dissing Hops because I think the Team Rockets and the Ends are the top 2. Although the Ends attack isn't great, so maybe that you could debate that. But the ability on Ends, I think, pushes it up towards the top.
Yeah, I mean, as like packages, I don't know. I mean, I feel like so Marnie's Gumshoe EX is good.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like it. I think it's like not that good, but it's definitely all right. And then Lowe's Clefairy EX is like very good as well. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but I'm not sure. If I am, then too bad. But yeah, ultimately, the hop stuff I think is interesting. You're able to boost potentially 90 damage and reduce your attack cost by one colorless within like with a relatively reasonable amount of setup, I guess. Certainly adding like 60 with which is with the Hop Snorlax plus the tool. But anyways, Hop's Phantom here for one colorless, which again can be reduced down to free. It does 10, and on a coin flip, you're immune to damage and effects of attacks next turn, which again can be boosted up to 100 for free. And immunity half the time is actually like kind of good. I don't know. I feel like the hop stuff has a lot of potential. But then there's also Hop's Trevenant here for one colorless. If any of your Hops Pokemon are knocked out last turn, you do 130. Otherwise, you just do 30. Again, you could boost this up to 20 with all the buffs of the Hop stuff for again free, which is like kind of cool. And then Corner, you can do 90 for 3. Stop Retreating, which definitely feels a little more niche. For like its attack cost there feels kind of bad. But ultimately, I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know. I honestly feel like these are okay. Like they're not amazing, but I feel like they're all right.
No, I think they're good options for a hops deck, right? You're not going to play them in a non-hops deck, I don't think, but it's a good option for a hops deck. Yeah, both the basic having an attack and you hope on the coin flip you're okay for the next turn. There's times that's definitely what you got to do. And probably the Trevenant, you're going to use the first attack. 3 energies for the second attack, I just isn't good enough. There may be a few niche cases where that's what you end up doing, but you're not going to. It's not going to be a big feature in most games with the deck, but it's a nice little a consideration for hops decks. And yeah, with the hops package, it's certainly not bad at all.
Yeah. Then we have the Spectrier here. This is okay for 3 energy, 2 which are psychic, and it is a psychic Pokemon. You can do you put 12 damage counters on 1 points Pokemon. So it is not doing damage, just doing damage counters, which could be better or worse. And ultimately,
Right.
this is I think usable within Gardevoir EX. When I say usable not for that long because it's going to rotate soon after, but it seems like all right there. I mean, I don't know if it's what Gardevoir needs. You have Screamtail specifically doing a relatively similar role, but I think it's an okay card.
Right. I mean, Screamtail does damage. This places damage counters, so it's a consideration for Gardevoir deck. I don't know that it's going to go in most Gardevoir decks. In the stadium, right? We have the stadium that stops this attack, right? Is that correct? If I'm
Yeah, Battle
remembering it.
Cage would.
So that's a big downside to it. So I don't love it, but it's a basic. So yeah, it's an option in your Gardevoir deck. So and Gardevoir's good. So therefore, in that sense, it could be the best card in the set because it goes in one of the best decks around.
Yeah, I don't think it'll see much play in it, but I think it is like if you want to, you could. But then we have some more Team Rocket stuff. We do have Team Rocket's Diglett, which is like a mill. Flip until you get tails, you mill. But then Team Rocket's Doug Trio, you have the ability here, single whenever any of your opponent's Pokemon move from the active to the bench during their turn. Then you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon, which is like kind of interesting here.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I like I like Team Rockets because I like the Team Rockets package. I think it's pretty good. All in all, the attackers are the weak part of it. That the team it does 50 for 2. That's not good. Could it be? I don't know. It goes in a Team Rockets deck, or is this kind of in like a some type of a walling deck with the Monkey Dory to move damage around and kind of just mess with your opponent, I guess is what you're going to do, right? That doesn't necessarily go in a Team Rocket deck, does it, in your mind?
I mean, there's like the Marcus Ampharos, which also like places damage counters on. There's some like damage counter slash like spread stuff going on with Team Rocket stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's like super impressive there. I don't think this card unfortunately just does that much. It doesn't stop your opponent from retreating. It kind of discourages it a little bit, but I feel like not really enough there. And I also like the Team Rocket supporter package. I think it's just really cool, but ultimately the this isn't really going to benefit too much from that either.
Now, and I read it right. So when your opponent moves from the active to the bench, then it goes on what was the active Pokemon that's on the bench gets the damage counters, correct?
Um, yes.
Okay. So it's a way to potentially, obviously, you're trying to set things up, right? It's a very manipulating control type deck that you're trying to get something the active, and then if they retreat to the bench, you're going to knock it out, right? That's the goal, right? They're going to retreat to the bench to avoid being knocked out following turn. They're going to knock themselves out if they do it. You obviously can stack the Doug trios as well, at least the way it's worded here. So I mean, it's tough to give up that much deck space and bench space, but it's going to be tough, I think, to get much out of this. I think in the end.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's also only during your opponent's turn, which
Yeah,
I feel like would be cooler if it wasn't, because then you could like use it with Iron Bundle to do damage, which is kind of cool. I don't think it would be overpowered or anything. But it's a way to do a little extra damage, which is kind of useful. You could
yeah,
almost compare it to Frostlass. It's definitely a worse Frostlass, but I think there is kind of sort of something with this card, though not quite where you want it.
yeah. It's a fun thing to try. I don't see a ton of success, so I think moving on. So, do you want to talk about the Metacham? I know this is your kind of attack. So seventh kick, it does 150 for one. That's a nice damage on a single prize, but you have to have 7 cards in hand, or it does nothing. To me, I stay away from this card. Do you want to give it a try though?
I mean, I like weird hand size stuff. The card
Yes.
just doesn't do that much damage. I mean, 150 for one's like all right. It's not like absurd, but it's all right. But like getting this set up is also pretty hard. There are other cards like this that are like a lot more fun in my opinion and better, and they're not even like that good. So it's cool, but I think that there's not too much more to say about it
Yeah.
that like should be said. But then there's Mega Halucha EX, another one of the new megas here. It's a basic here. It has an attack somersault dive for 3 to fighting a colorless. You do 120, but if there's a stadium play, you do a pretty substantial 260 here. There isn't really much acceleration, I don't think, in format, unless I'm forgetting something that's like particularly good. Um,
We
but
have the what is it? The EX, right? That you can use the ability to turn one to accelerate some energy.
yeah,
Is
or
it?
Cried on the X.
Yeah. Does it
Yeah,
accelerate 2 energies? Is it?
yeah. It's not necessarily just turn 1, but it ends your turn, so it's probably turn 1.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, I think that's what you're going to use with it. Probably you go first, you set it up, you can attack the second turn. I don't know if that's great, but go on.
Oh, wait, so there's also Mega Lucario. I knew I was like forgetting something. This
Oh.
could work with that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it does less damage than Mega Lucario EX, and it has less health, but it does have this interesting ability here called Strong Body. When this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack, flip a coin. If tails, it's not knocked out, and its remaining HP is 10. So theoretically, it can like essentially live forever, I guess.
Because it's not dependent on being full HP, which
Yeah,
some of these are, right? Um, so yeah, potentially it's a huge swing because it's you're going either 3 prizes or no prizes. So I don't, honestly, I gotta say it's more of a swing than I like.
yeah.
So I'm a little concerned about that. And obviously we have with the fighting stuff that came out, the Mega Lucario to boost the damage. So now you're discarding the stadium. So I don't think I would want to rely on a Mega Halucha deck in of itself. Just because I'm going to have to keep playing down a stadium every turn for several turns in a row, and I think that's going to be a problem. Although 2 knockouts and lose the game as well, but so it's interesting. It's awkward, is what I'll say though. That's my thought.
Yeah.
It's right. It's tempting, but I think it's a trap what they've given us here.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely has some stuff. Like, I would not be shocked if this card legitimately saw competitive play. Not that I'm expecting it to. I mean, I don't like coin flip cards really. I mean, they can be
Yeah.
funny. I'd say this is, super swingy. Um, and so I don't really like the swingy stuff. I like I like some of the silly chaotic stuff. But ultimately, this card is, theoretically tanky, but theoretically not tanky. It's like HP is 250, which is like super low for a mega. And then its damage is like theoretically good, but kind of awkward to set up. And it just, as you're kind of saying, it feels more like a trap card to like, be have some like interesting upside, but just not really be able to reach it there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you might put a copy in a Lucario deck because that's what'll power it up, and then at some point in the game you give your opponent the question of you can 2-shot my Mega Lucario, that's 340 HP, or you can gust up my Mega Halucha and you hope I flip tails, right? You get the knockout if I flip tails. So I think there might be a point in some games where that's what you do, but it's a weird card.
Yeah. Also, if your opponent plays like Monkey Dory and they're able to use it or something kind of like that, then they will be able to go ahead and knock you out like the turn after, which is relatively easy to do, I guess. It's not like free, but it is pretty doable there. But ultimately, I think it is like one of the better cards in this set. This set, as you were saying earlier, isn't like amazing, but it's not bad by any means.
No, it's a fun little card, and you can like use Professor Turris scenario or something to scoop it up if if it's damaged, right? And you can heal it as well. You lose all the energy with that supporter, which I've forgotten the name again. I just don't ever remember that name.
Yeah,
But
Wildest Compassion, is that any mega or is it only evolution? No,
oh,
yeah, it's any mega. So you could pair it. Oh, people have played it with Mega Kangaskhan apparently. I haven't actually really seen it happen, but oh wait, this Mega Kangaskhan deck doesn't play any. That was not what I was expecting, but that's something. But yeah, you can do that.
all right. So the next Pokemon, I like this Colossal. This is a fun one to me. The stage two. It's 180 HP. Um, and it does for one energy, it does 140 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, but which is good. You can hit the bench and anything you want. You have to have 10 basic energy. The discard pile it does nothing, so it's tricky there, right? But I like it. It's pretty fun, right? It's a stage two, so it's gonna be awkward. The basic and the stage one aren't particularly good. It's got a second attack, does 220, but it's four energy. You discard three, so I don't love it. And I guess the idea is if you did the second attack, then you have one energy left. You attack with the first attack next turn, but you're probably one shot. But doing 140 to any Pokemon is a very nice number. So it's tempting to try and do something with it to me.
Yeah, I definitely see the appeal, I guess. But also like 140 isn't actually that much for like I mean we were talking about 150 for
Yeah.
one in stage one. This is Snipe, but I mean it's not like one-shotting anything on the bench. It's a multi-prizer. It's just like kind of clunky, and getting a bunch of energy. I mean, the issue is you need to be playing all this energy. And once you're playing all this energy, well, you're probably playing Lunatone and Solrock, which that's good. But it just feels like Colossal is like a very mediocre payoff for all this setup. Um, and you're playing probably like what 14 energies maybe in your deck or something to get this to work, um,
Yeah.
which is a lot.
Yeah, so it's not good. There's another Colossal in format, but it needs fire energy as well in the deck. So I don't think it's a tech in a deck or anything. So it's probably just it's a fun thing that probably I think I just need to stay away from. Right? There's not enough upside to it.
Yeah. But then we have an Okidogi here. This one's okay. It does 140 for 3 on a basic if your opponent. Or no, sorry, it does 80 for 3 on a basic, but it does 60
Yeah.
more for each prize your opponent took on their last turn. So theoretically, it could do as much as 240 here if your opponent's. Wait, I did that right. Yeah, yeah. So if your opponent knocked out a 3 prize, well, I guess it could do more. It could theoretically do as much
Right.
as
You can do
380.
380 exactly with the
Um,
supporter, right? If they use that supporter to help you out.
Yeah. Oh, they could also
Yeah.
just, do like do spread stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you could also wait. It's during. Oh no, it's during their last turn. I was gonna say you could knock yourself out, but that doesn't work.
No.
But I don't think there's any way to knock yourself out during their turn. But anyways, Okidogi is like kind of funny here. It could be powerful. In some situations, I don't know exactly how you'd play it. As we were talking about earlier, getting fighting energy on your board is kind of clunky unless you have some special way to do it. There's Lucaria though. I think it fits all right with that honestly, as a single prize option. But I'd probably still rather use Hariyama for its gusting and like more consistent damage.
Yeah, it's how to get the energy on it. I'm trying to think. Maybe I'll try to think for an expanded
Wait,
deck,
sorry.
right?
This is
Because
this is this is 260 for 3. I did the math wrong.
okay. So I'm wondering, I'm thinking maybe an expanded deck which is built around Okidogi, but even that I'm not so sure. It's great.
Oh,
So
yeah, and you can
it's
make him
yeah,
take more prizes using you could do the I was gonna say the full expand, you could do the Naganatal GX extra prize card thing where you like make him take a bunch more prizes or something like that. Anyways, that seems bad but
but
funny.
yeah, we're getting off topic. It's yeah, I don't think it's a particularly good card, but sorry, we got a number of darkness Pokemon. So we've got first a Rockets Pokemon, Rockets Team Rockets Honchkrow, stage one. I don't remember. This has synergy with the other Team Rockets. What the attack? It for 2 colors energy, which you can use the Team Rockets energy to pay for that. It does. You discard a number of supporters with Team Rocket, their name from your hand. Does 60 per card discarded, so you could do a bunch of damage that way. And you need to get those energies, those supporters in the discard pile anyway. So it has some synergy in a Team Rockets deck. I don't think you're going too heavy with it, but maybe a 1/1 line in a Team Rockets toolbox style deck, I would think.
Yeah, or probably like Porygon deck, right? Porygon
Yeah.
Z, Porygon 2, which is like okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know, okay might be a bit of a stretch, but it's kind of fun there. I feel like this card fits like nicely into that deck for an early game attacker there. And it is payable with both Ignition Energy and Team Rocket's Energy, which is pretty nice. They're giving you a bunch of ways to attack with it. But it's pretty straightforward. But I mean, it's like decently strong. The Team Rocket supporters, you can run 20 in your deck theoretically, which is like a lot.
Yeah.
And then you can be doing decent damage here. So I think it's an all right card as like a kind of silly deck here. There's a bunch of them in the set. We've been talking about them the whole video pretty much. And this one honestly feels like one of the better ones. A pretty fun one, pretty simple, but pretty cool here.
Yeah, you could try it in a Rockets deck. You could try it in the Porygon Z deck or Porygon 2 deck, depending how you want to roll with that. And it could be its own deck too, where you just really go to town with all the supporters and just try to kind of roll through things. And it is a nice, and then of course you have good selection of supporters to play each turn as well. So that could be a fun. I don't think that's gonna be great, but it's a fun little deck that I might give a try at. So
Yeah,
what do you want to go to
Miraculous
next?
headset. Um,
Oh, sorry, you can.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Miraculous headset or no, Miracle headset to recover 2 supporters when you discard into your hand. But yeah, no, we didn't need to like stop the conversation for that though. Because
No.
that's not that good. But we have Galarian Obstagoon here next. This one has 2 attacks, but the main one here, Scar Shot for 2 on a stage 2. It's a 70 for each damage counter on your opponent's active. Theoretically, doing a ton of damage here. Synergizes a lot with the Galarian Zigzagoon, which rotated, the first one that came out from Sword and Shield base set. Pretty cool card there. That
Yeah.
one, not this one. This one seems kind of bad.
Yeah, no, so this might be an expanded card there or one of those special formats that they give in live in the trainer trials or something, right? But yes, a multiple of 70 per damage counter is very nice there. We need to get the 2 energies on. But one's a colorless, so you can Crispin as well. So I like, so it's a very tempting, appealing card. I don't think it's a deck itself, and I don't know that it goes into a deck. Is in a spread deck, right? That's I guess the question. You put this in a spread deck. I guess you have a spread deck, particularly with Monkey Dory. Then you have the darkness energy in it already, as well. So this is an option. It's a stage 1, so deck space setting up. You got to think whether
Stage
that's going to
2.
work out. Oh, it's a stage 2. Oh yeah, it says stage 1. Sorry, yeah, this one's a
Oh, it's
misprint.
mistranslated.
Yeah, it says stage 1, but on it, yes, but it says yeah, it's a stage 2. So it's awkward, but I don't think you can make it its own deck, right? It probably has to be part of some other deck, I think.
Yeah, and then again, that gets more awkward. But we have another Darkness Pokemon here. This one's kind of interesting. It's the Mega Scrafty EX. It's the
Yep.
one of the another one of the new Megas here, and it has the attack Outlaw leg for Darkness Colorless. Does 160, and you choose a random card from your opponent's hand and discard it, and you discard the top card of your opponent's deck. So that's kind of silly there, kind of fun, kind of annoying, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's fun. But then you have the ability as well, Counter Cowl. This says if this Pokemon is in the active, when it takes damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 5 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So I'd say like an overall mediocre, well-rounded Mega. It's not as good as Mega Absol, which I don't think Mega Absol, like I think the deck's like decent, not amazing, but I think the card itself is all right. And this is worse than it, which isn't really a great sign.
No, and I'm trying to look if there's the other Scrafties in format now, if there's anything great, and there's not. You can wall basics with the one, so um, or you can flip some coins. But yeah, the damage number is okay. Losing a card from hand, milling a card, it's just it's very meh, right? It's none of them are good enough. And the 5 damage counters is nice, but I don't think that's pushing it over the top at all. And obviously 3 prizes, I don't think things will go well if I try to make this a feature of a deck.
Yes, another, one of those like mediocre but kind of fun cards. Also,
Yeah.
the same as the next one here, Pangoro. This one for 3 darkness. If you have Pancham on your bench, it has damage counters on it, which is the basic. Then you do 120 more, so that's going to be doing 200, which is honestly pretty decent. It's not actually too hard to set up. The Pancham has, let's see, in standard, yeah, okay, so that you can get Buddy, but use it with Buddy Poffin. So it's like kind of interesting. Honestly, not too bad. I don't think it's super good, but I think it's all right.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about it just because I gotta get the damage counters on as well.
Yeah. And then I think we'll move on to the Pekkarunt here as
Yep.
well. This is a basic darkness, which is actually kind of interesting. Mochi Rush for 1 darkness does 20, but next turn does 70, so that's like kind of fun. And that's like all right for 1 darkness there. And then
Well,
the
no,
is
it's
all
not because you're over 2 turns. You're averaging what 45 per attack, so that's
well
not good.
over as you approach an infinite amount of turns, you'll approach 70 damage every turn.
No, but usually it doesn't stack, right?
No, well, yeah, but you'll do 20, then you'll do 70, then 70, then 70, then so
Oh,
it'll
okay.
average 70.
Yes.
after an infinite
Yes,
amount.
over infinity number of turns it approaches. All right. Anyway, go on. Sorry, get back to the
Okay,
ability.
so it's actually like it still isn't that good, but it's like not horrendous. But it has an interesting ability here, which makes it like um cool, which says last chain, which says if this Pokemon is knocked out by an attack from um one of your opponent's Pokemon, then you get to search your deck for a card and put it into your hand, which is I think pretty interesting. The attack like supplements it, but the ability is like kind of
Yeah.
cool as a search option. We've seen cards like this in the past that haven't really seen play, but I think this card is kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah, you play it for that ability. Maybe the 20 damage makes a difference for something for you're getting damage counters or something that matters for some other attacker. The question is what deck is going to want that you want to force your opponent to hit into this because that getting that one card is going to set up a big turn the next turn. That's what you have to get, and I'm not sure the use case, but it's
Maybe
a fun little
control.
option.
I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't think so, right? I think you're gonna want. Wouldn't you better off like a Wallen card or something in the active?
Yeah,
I,
but like there are times when you need to like kind of set up. It helps you set up. It's Iono proof, so that's like kind of cool. Um, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it's something to keep in mind. I think it may have some use cases here and there.
yeah. Then we've got ourselves a hey King Gambit. This King Gambit's kind of interesting. It is 52 itself for 2 metal, but actually this damage is 180 to your points active, and with its ability, it does 30 more damage to your points active for each prize card you've taken, or sorry, your opponent's taken. I will
Yeah.
say that this would work with like a technical machine, but that seems kind of niche. But this is the same as Charizard EX essentially, but without the energy acceleration. So that's kind of bad, but it's a single prizer.
Yeah, you got to get the two energies on. So I don't think it's got the payoff you want. The Bisharp stage 150 draw 2 cards isn't terrible if you're trying to build this the deck. You're going to attack with that stage 1 at times to help set up your next turn as well. I just I can't I don't see it coming together in my mind though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool, but also again, like a lot of these, not super amazing. But moving on to the Dragon Pokemon, that's not a lot of metal Pokemon there. We have
No.
Dragonair and Mega Dragonite EX. I guess I'll talk about Mega Dragonite EX here first. I guess has the ability Sky Transport. It's just a switch every turn. Switch to anything. Every turn
Yeah.
on your side. It's not best. But then you have the attack Hero Glide. And this for water, lightning does 300, and then you discard 2 from it, which I'm not gonna lie, I think is pretty bad. It does have 300
It
H.
does 330 though, right? You
Yeah.
said 300.
Oh, whoops.
So, I think.
Yeah, it does 330 there. This is like kind of comparable to Mega Man EX, but that's a stage 1, so I think this card is bad. But we also have the and we'll talk about it probably in a little more in a second. But then there's the Dragonair here with the ability Evolution Guidance, which says once during your turn, you use this ability if it has an energy attached to it to search your deck for an evolution and reveal it put into your hand. I don't know if I think this is super good, but I feel like this has some more interesting value. Again, I'm not really a huge fan of in terms of like search options. I'm looking for like basic Pokemon that don't require other setup or like items, but this could be interesting in some decks and obviously useful with Mega Dragonite EX as well.
Yeah, if you're playing a Dragonite deck, the stage 1 definitely has value. It's not as good as the the good dragon Pokemon that I'm blanking on right now with
Uh,
his stage 1.
I was gonna say Gabite, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. Um,
N-
oh,
No,
Drake yeah,
yeah,
right,
the
yeah,
Drakeloak, right? Drakeloak looking at 2 drawing 1's better probably, but it's a nice ability on the Dragonair. Maybe it goes in some other decks. The Dragonite, the attack's pretty good, and then it really also has essentially Latias's ability, and you say that's super awesome. So therefore, Mega Dragonite should be like the best card that's been printed here, based on the way
yeah.
you talk about Latias.
Now, Latias is obviously good because it's a basic. This ability is like really objectively better than Latias EX, unless you're looking for something like absurdly specific. But yeah, I mean, Mega Dragonite EX's ability is cool, but again, it is on a stage 2. It's on a 3 prizer. There is Lotus Clefairy EX in format. The damage is good, but it is like awkward to set up. You look at something like Dragapult, that's like it's not free to set up. It has a better stage 1. Obviously, it is a better card. But like so holding this the same standard is like not gonna meet it, but also it's 3 energy. It's a 3 prizer. Like that doesn't seem
Yeah. Well, I'm looking here. Can you try to maybe build a Dragonite deck, right? Because you have the single price Dragonite does 180 for 2, so that's good. You mill 2 from yourself. You probably don't like that most of the time, but 180 for 2 on a single prize, I like that. And then you do have an EX as well, so that only gives up 2 prizes with 330 HP. So That's probably the tanky option. You'd probably rather have that than the Mega with its more HP but an extra prize. Although, the Mega's attack is better than I would say than the Dragonite EX. It does 140 for two, and then you flip a coin, it does 140 more if heads. So that's potentially pretty good. So you could try a Dragonite box deck, I guess, is what this would go into.
Yeah. I mean, it's good in Regidraco Restart and expanded, I guess. And the Dragonair is good in GLC, but that's not really this
Yeah,
video here. But yeah, I feel like
no,
there's like something here, I guess. The Dragonair searching for an evolution every turn with an energy attached, I feel like is cool in potentially another deck, but I mean, it is a substantial commitment, not a huge commitment, but a moderate one. For relatively
yeah.
mediocre gain. I kind of like how I've criticized Mammoth EX's ability. I think this is similar here, but it's not stage 2, so it is usable. But again, I don't love it.
No, and the fact you have to attach an energy, right? So you're burning up your energy attachment to get an evolution. That makes it not. I don't think it's useful in non-Dragonite decks. And Dragonite decks aren't the best thing. So, what do you want to go to next? I don't. What the end Zekrom? You don't
Now
need to talk about.
let's talk Rayquaza. I mean, if you move from the bench to the
Okay.
active, you do 110 for 2 on a basic single parser, which is not terrible. It definitely has
Yeah.
some value. Could have used it turn 1, though it seems kind of clunky. But not too much to talk about there, but it's all right. But yeah, then the end Zekrom having 2 attacks here, obviously an ends Pokemon. Rampaging Thunder for Fire, Lightning, Colorless. Though the attack cost doesn't really matter if you're copying it with End Zoroark EX. You do
Right.
250, he can attack next turn. Then end Zekrom's first attack is Shred here, doing 70, hitting through effects of attacks. Shred is, I think, useful, though not like amazing. And then Rampaging Thunder, I mean, that's so much more damage than End's Reshiram, which is currently the main attack in the End Zoroark EX deck, which I don't think is like super good. But I think this like lets it compete more with like those top tier decks with doing an extra 80 damage there.
Right. I mean, the idea behind the ends deck is you've got a box style attacker with some okay attacks, and this does boost that. But you have ends ability as well, so your deck's more consistent than most decks. So that's what you're trying to get the edge on there. And I think you might need the shred attack as well because if you're playing an ends deck, depending on your energy configuration and stuff, you may have a tough time with Mimikyu when your opponent sticks that in front of you. So. Um, and this will take out a Mimikyu, right? It does 70 damage, so so it has some value there as well.
Yeah, but do you think this will make ends like how much better do you think it'll make the end stack, specifically Rampaging Thunder? I guess if you think Shred makes it like amazing, then that's
Shred
beside that.
isn't
But
the big one. It makes it a little bit better. I think N's decks have appeal because N's ability, Zorak's ability, is so good that you're trying to get by with the attacks, right? And this ups the attacks a little, but it's still, I don't know, it moves it up. It moves it up. Maybe it moves it up a tier, but it's still not even A tier, probably. I would say,
yeah, I mean, I think
you
I might
know.
maybe a little higher on it than you. I mean, I don't think it's super good though. I think it's like I wouldn't put it top 10 unless. I mean, I wouldn't put it in like an A tier right now, certainly. But yeah, the Ends Archon's like a useful new card for it. We'll talk about the last Ends card at the very end, where we're obviously almost done here.
Yeah.
But we got a Noivern here, a single prizer. It's like, man, not really gonna talk about it too much or at all, really. But I will mention it that it exists. But then we
Yeah.
have a handful of trainers here. We have Light Ball, which I don't like. What even is this thing that I'm looking at? But anyways, the attacks of the Pikachu EX, the Pokemon the tool is attached to, do 50 more to your points active Pokemon EX. What Pikachu EX is there in this set? Is it the good one? Yeah. This seems like all right for Pikachu EX. I feel like you're not really looking for that much extra damage all the time, but it is definitely potentially pretty good.
Well, the Pikachu X, right? That does 300, right? You discard
Yeah.
all the energies. Obviously, you powering it up's tricky. So this one, you need to get the lightning Pokemon. You might use that lightning supporter as well, right? Because you got to get your Joltik going and stuff. I know it's your favorite way to go, but getting 350 now, you're knocking out some more cards. So if you're playing Pikachu, obviously this is a card you're probably going to slap one copy in, especially if you're playing for Arvin, one copy of this, and you're happy with that.
Yeah, for even if you're going like knocked out as well, I guess you could be doing that. So ultimately, I feel like Light
Yeah.
Ball's like all right. I don't know. I don't really like the card design. I feel like it's really limited, but it's an all right card here. Then we have
Yeah.
another tool here, which is Thick Scales. This is also kind of limited. Only works on Dragon Pokemon. Says you take 50 less damage from Grass, Fire, Water, and Lightning Pokemon. Um, which seems like all right. Doing extra damage is obviously I mean, taking less damage is good, but generally, not as good as doing extra damage. But I think this is still going to be it's okay. I mean, dragons like Dragapult's good, obviously. Um, there is some other dragon stuff, I guess, but ultimately, like these are also not the types you're so worried about.
Right. I think to make it useful, it needs to stop reduce for psychic Pokemon, right? Because
Yeah, like
that's the concern.
darkness. Um,
Well, psychic
oh
because you have
yes,
what the Clefairy, right? Is that the one?
yeah. I don't
Or
know if that's saving you though. That might not be enough still.
it probably does in some cases, right? That's the if it could swing that, sometimes that's what it matters. These other things probably aren't knocking you out. I don't know that's going to save you often enough. So I don't, if I'm playing a dragon deck, I don't really see this. I'm playing it in Mega Dragonites, the EX in this set. I don't think first, we're questioning that's questionable, but I don't think. Well, I mean, now you're over 400. Now you're at what 420 HP. So to get knocked out, but it's going to be tough to make that whole thing work.
Yeah. And then we have the last two cards. I guess we'll talk about Nightmine first here, which says
Yeah.
this is actually probably like it's good. Which is a stadium that says attacks used by each Terra in play cost one colorless more. There are obviously a bunch of good Terras we talked about. We talked about Dragapult, Charizard EX. Some we wouldn't really talk about them too much, but they are very good.
Yeah.
Among others, there's like quite a few. This is I think especially good in Ceruledge EX. Ceruledge is good. One energy, so going from 1 to 2 is huge, and it doesn't play stadiums or stadium bumps much. It does have ways to do that if it wants to, but it just doesn't really do that. Has to compromise itself, and so yeah, Nightmine seems like legitimately like a very good stadium.
Yeah, it's a good option for things, and the Pikachu as well, right? That the one light ball's really geared to go with is that one's a Terra as well. So, um, yeah, it's useful, and having stadiums and stadium bumps is always something to be aware of. So it's a good card for some decks. So, um, I think so. So, but then we're setting up the last card, right? Last, I was gonna say last but not least, but maybe this is last and least. So why don't you go ahead and
Yeah.
take it away?
So this is Anthea and Concordia. I think I've called them N sisters. I don't actually know if that's correct, but anyways, there are these characters, and they relate to N. And the N's Pokemon here, this is a card that says during this turn, if your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from one of your opponent's N's Pokemon's attacks, then you get to take 3 extra prizes. Taking 3 extra prizes is super good. And yeah, then you don't guaranteed one, but you're in a very good position if you do that. However, you can only play this card if you have Ends Darmanitan, Ends Zoroark EX, Ends Reshiram, Ends Zekrom, Ends Klinklang, and Ends Vanilluxe in play. Which 2 of those are basics, 2 of those are stage 1s, and 2 of those are stage 2s. Ends Klinklang is really bad. Ends Zekrom and Ends Reshiram are like decent, they're searchable. Ends Zoroark EX obviously pretty good, and Ends Darmanitan is okay. And Ends Vanilluxe is like, it's okay, I guess. Um, Probably not going to be getting value out of it with this deck, other than it needs to be in play. But yeah, this is like super awkward.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of work to set it up, and you're probably because you can't be benching the better Pokemon when with trying to set this up. You're going to be having a bunch of suboptimal turns and multiple weak turns probably, and therefore you're I think talking to you is you're taking a couple prizes. Let's say you knock out a regular EX, you're taking 3 extra prizes, you still have one prize to go. So you've done a lot of work. You should probably, for what it does, is it should probably just say you win the game, or it should say you take 5 extra prizes or something, right? You should basically guarantee to win the game if you do the work to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, even if you take 5, like if you still need to take a knockout, like taking a knockout is kind of hard. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like super hard, but when you also need like this absurd combo, like the combo's either too hard to set up or the payoff is too low. And it's funny though. It's like a really silly card. It's like gotten so much talk. It's like so bad. I've heard some people who like don't play the TCG talk about this card and say it's like broken. Maybe. Like it's obviously it's not, by the way. Like if you think this card's good, unfortunately, unless something weird changes, it's not going to be good. Like it's obviously predictions, but no, we're both very confident, and everyone I've talked to that plays TCG, this card unfortunately is really really bad. But it's very very funny.
Yeah, look, I think I'm playing the Rockets Executor with a 3 coin flips to knock out my opponent's Pokemon. I'm gonna get more consistent with that and setting up than with the supporter here. So I think if they made it, you take 5 extra prizes. with this caveat to make it play, I still think it would not be good, right? And obviously it's a big difference 3 from 5 too. So it's just not going to be. You can try to make a silly deck and have some fun with it, but you're gonna have a lot of games doing nothing, trying to pull off that one game, I think.
Yeah, I think if you literally won the game when you play this card, it would actually be interesting. It would be a really unique deck. If you've seen like my videos or just like people talk about the unknowns, which like instantly win you the game when you reach a certain condition. It's a really similar thing. This is like I mean, alternate which win conditions can be really fun. They're not what people are looking for that often, but like it's still really hard to pull off, right? But then you're like not trying to get energies on your board, and you have like different
Yeah.
resources. It's a really interesting dynamic. Unfortunately, that's not what it is. Um, so it's mostly just bad. Or it's like yeah, it just like you're not going to play it, and that is really all there is to it. If you play it, you're still probably going to lose, unfortunately. Um, someone at my local game store said they give I was gonna say a bunch of money. It's $1, but if you win a game using this card or something like that, because it's bad.
Yeah, it's a clickbait card is what they did. So I like silly stuff. I can't see a way to really try to do this. Like I said, you're going to be playing 100 games, and I don't know that I could build a deck that I feel confident I'm going to do it with. I guess I'd do it within that time frame, but I would not enjoy the process of all the games to go through. So but there are some good cards here, right? It's not game breaking, it's not meta changing, which is kind of how the last sets have been too, right? We've gotten some good cards that add to things. We're kind of supplementing good decks. We're adding some not quite top tier decks potentially to things, and I think we're kind of continuing at that theme. I think with this set, right?
Yeah, and I'd say this set has a lot of silly decks as well, which I think we've been
Yeah.
I don't know if necessarily lacking, but I think it's really cool to see that this era, like the Mega era, where we're gonna get a lot of fun decks. I think people are gonna have some stuff they really enjoy from this set. I'd say I was hoping for a little more. I mean, there aren't too many cards that really caught my eye, but there are definitely some fun cards here. I'm excited for this set. I mean, I'm always excited for new sets. No new mechanic. We might get a new mechanic next year. Hopefully we do, I guess. I don't know. I feel like the current mechanics are fine, but I'd like, some interesting abilities on basic megas or something like that. But overall, I'm excited for this new set. I'd say you're like somewhat excited as well, right?
Yeah, no, there's going to be some fun decks and some fun games to play from it, and that's a good thing. I think this sets a casual player focus is the way I describe it.
Yeah, but it's definitely something that it is a cool set, and it is also a mini set, so it's not held to quite the same standard. But anyways,
Yeah.
we hope you are also excited for the set. Make sure you leave down below in the comment section on YouTube on the Uncommon Fossil or 10 Types YouTube channels your thoughts on this set, and if you enjoy it, if you don't, if you think it's some missed potential or whatever. But we hope you enjoyed. Tell us your thoughts on all the different things with this set and the Pokemon TCG. But we hope you enjoyed. As I said, make sure you check us out on YouTube, but you can check us out on other podcasting platforms. But we hope you enjoyed, and as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.